Not too many people had shown up to the funeral, but enough. Some of the city's elite, the mayor, all people who had worked with or known Jet Phoenix in some capacity. But that was the problem. None of these people were here for Adam. They had no idea that was even his real name. They had all come to honor a reclusive millionaire who was kind, generous, and encouraging, but not the small-town guy who had secretly saved them. Kathy wasn't sure if she was breathing as the pastor gave his speech. This was Jet's eulogy, Jet's funeral, but it was Adam's death. Adam, her partner, the one she'd fought alongside for so long, her friend. It was Adam who had stepped in front of her, not a well-known philanthropist with a trust fund. And it was a scoundrel's bullet that murdered him, not a patch of black ice on a twisting road. The world went quiet for a moment as she realized few, if any, of her fellow mourners really knew the man they had gathered to remember. He deserved better. She looked across the lawn to Night Shadow. He had been fixated on the speaker, but as if feeling her gaze, he looked over with a somber expression. This was the first time she had seen the old hero in days, even though he had said he would train her more. The realization that it would likely also be the last she would ever see of her mentor fell like a brick on her heart. He wasn't going to. Those were just rash words in the moment. It really was all over. Tears at last broke free as the polished wood coffin was lowered into the ground. They cascaded silently down her cheeks as she wished with everything she had that there was someone else there that knew. Somebody else that understood a true hero was being put to rest. Someone who appreciated what he'd done for the city, what he'd sacrificed for its citizens, for them, for her. He'll be missed. That voice she knew would haunt her memories, but thought she'd never hear again. Her ex's voice, cold and unfeeling. Kathy looked behind her. Nothing. She scanned the crowd and was met by only unfamiliar, melancholy faces. There was no sign of the madman. Why would there be? He had died too in the chaos. She'd seen it. He had fallen when the reactor floor collapsed. Or at least what ashen remains were left of him, that is. The politician's demise had flooded the news. He was indeed Mayhem, the horrible murderer and crime lord. Kathy knew grief could manifest in strange ways. Hearing the voice of the monster who had twice failed to murder her, and instead succeeded in taking the lives of her brother and the friend she loved, like one, would be nothing new to psychiatry. Post-traumatic stress. And then the source of the voice that her mind did twist, did reveal itself. A taller woman in black, with hood and sunglasses, stepped up beside her. Kathy tried to hide her alarm and confusion, and even her grief.
Did you know, Jet?
Kathy asked. The woman was silent for a moment before she answered. Better than most, I think. Her answer seemed genuine, and yet filled with something else that Kathy couldn't place, some knowing in her tone that hinted at something more. How did you know him? The woman asked. Kathy racked her brain. No one else had bothered to speak to her. Why was this woman now?
Well, he, paid for my school. I had a scholarship from him.
Oh, she simply replied. And Kathy saw something else there expressed. Something that couldn't be hidden with a hood and sunglasses and the best acting skill anyone could ever acquire. A loneliness settling in. Who exactly was this woman? Adam had had no time for a private life. Kathy looked her up and down and then saw her reach inside her pocket. There was a single purple rose made of plastic. She pulled it out, stared at it, and then dropped it, unable to even approach the casket. Kathy watched her sadly, and then she saw it. Right as the woman placed her hand back in her pocket, a boomerang was briefly visible. Did she see what she just saw? Was it one of theirs? It seemed like it. Kathy looked around for Night Shadow once more to signal to him about the woman next to her. But he wasn't where he was a moment ago. In fact, he was nowhere to be seen. She scanned the crowd rapidly. Nothing. She turned back to assess the situation, and maybe even try to pickpocket the woman, or follow her, or bug her at least. But she was gone. They all were. Her brother, her mentor, her friend. Even the stranger who seemed to know more than she let on. Kathy was alone. The crowd dispersed, and rain started to fall.